Hey, what's up, guys? Kino Corner here. I am joined today by Solar Sands, and we are going to talk American Psycho. Now, I know that I haven't uploaded in a while. I've been building out the studio for my work, and I'm actually making videos for my work that are tech-focused, that aren't movie-focused, but we're bringing in people from the tech world. We're bringing in other YouTubers, things like that. We have a lot of interesting guests in our pipeline, and I will be uploading to that channel frequently. If you want to follow that channel, I will leave a link to that in the description. And this company that I work for, we actually look for people with tech projects and we award them grants. We invest in tech companies. So if you have an interesting tech project that you think that, you might want some money and maybe an incubator space for, I will also leave my work email in the description if you want to send me your project that you think we might be interested in, as well as a link to my company's website where you can see what kind of projects we're looking for. But anyways, today we're joined by Solar Sands, and of course we are talking about American Psycho. This was a pretty easy movie to sort of figure out, because we were trying to figure out yesterday like what movie to talk about, and I was like, oh, what movie have we both seen, because we're both pretty busy. And yeah, I was like, and then,
it was kind of a natural inclination. We went through like, what movies have we seen? We've seen the
Taxi Driver.
We've seen some Russian.
Oh yeah,
films,
Tarkovsky.
Like Tarkovsky.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, I mean, what's something we've both seen, and it's kind of had resurgence.
Yeah.
Just it's this kind of cultural touchstone nowadays, which is pretty funny.
Let me see if I can put this. Oh, there we go.
It looks all nice.
Yeah,
and confident.
I know it's like the AVGN sort of setup back here. We're building this out right now, so it's gonna get like there's gonna be more stuff. It's gonna kind of build out, and then the American Psycho. Just yeah. That's my little addition to it.
Yeah.
But it has had a huge resurgence.
It has. It's kind of crazy. Just like the memes are everywhere all the time, and it seems to be embraced by a certain like the Sigma male. That's apparently the new kind of type of male. And now,
do you remember that when that like first kind of came onto like the
I think I do.
Twitter sphere?
I think I like very explicitly remember exactly when it happened. It was like a new male dropped. The Sigma male. There was like this dumb YouTube video that was like, was it the John Wick in the thumbnail? I think it's something like that.
I think it was like Keanu Reeves as John Wick.
And I'm like, Sigma, oh my, this is gonna be a meme for the next 6 months.
Sigmas usually choose to put their powers of manipulation to good use, but if you try to mess with them, it's best to beware of this ability.
It just sounds silly on the surface. Sigma. It sounds like it rhymes with ligma. Yeah. It's this like it sounds like a disease. It really is just like the kind of male angst gone full stupid. But
that's the funny thing though. So when I made my Literally Me video, I kind of went into it like, so with this whole Sigma thing, it like started off where people were clowning on Sigma. They're like, oh, this is so stupid. There's alpha and there's beta. And I know that there were other people that be like, and there's omega. I mean, really, it's like, it's not like you're one or the other. It's a gradation of a lot of things. But, and in Sigma, everyone was kind of joking about it. But as most things go, it's ironic until it's not, and then you just kind of embrace it. It's like Minions, right?
Yeah. The Minions full suit of people going into the theater.
But just think like a few years ago with Minions, where like Minions were just associated with like boomers on Facebook and
boomers, really little children, and like annoying people.
Yeah,
and people hated them. There was the famous "I hate everything" video, which was I hate Minions, and I think that really kind of like it was, the hatred was already there, but that like crystallized it to a point, and now now it's turned on its head, and it's like
it got so cringe. It got so cringe that it became funny.
It became based.
Yeah, it became based.
It became so cringe. It became based too.
It's just, this is an implement video in the making.
Yeah. It's yeah. There's such a dense, rich history for these stupid internet terms, and then it's all like centered on this all of a sudden, which is really interesting.
It's so what's interesting about American Psycho is that I remember American Psycho being a meme on 4chan, like when I first got onto 4chan, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, back when I was in high school, and and I discovered the internet via 4chan and all the different boards.
Oh God.
But yeah, no. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager on 4chan, and I'm sure it still happens. There's a whole like getting dubs, getting trips, getting quads, quints, whatever. Like, and you have these people checking these dubs because you could look at the post number and see like, oh, you're gonna get close to getting a dub, and you would have Patrick Bateman from the scene with Jared Leto, where he's pointing at the CD player. But it makes it look like it's pointing straight at the post number. So it's like, check these dubs, check these trips.
Yeah.
And so that was like my first, and that was actually kind of what got me into American Psycho, was just that dubs meme.
Yeah, that reminds me, like, memes were just so simple. It's just like, hey, funny guy point at dubs. Now it's like Patrick Bateman is like this avatar for an angsty guy who can't get like a girlfriend or something. It's like, it's that, and he has like this host of characters, like with Ryan Gosling and the Joker.
Ryan Gosling, the Joker, Lou Bloom, Jake Gyllenhaal from Nightcrawler, Donnie Darko, another Jake Gyllenhaal, and then Vincent Gallo with Buffalo 66, and Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver, and The King of Comedy, like it. And,
that movie is when I saw that movie, The King of Comedy, in class, in my high school class. It was like hilarious to us because there'd be these long moments where we'd be kind of awkward and we'd be like tense, and then it just hits you with like a hilarious joke, and I'm like, wow.
Well, and it's so funny because
I've never had a comedy do that to me. It's like,
have you seen After Hours by Scorsese?
I don't think so.
You should watch. After Hours is probably my favorite Martin Scorsese movie, and it's with Griffin Dunn, and it's about a guy who just wants to go on a date with this girl, and he goes up to Soho in New York, and he loses his taxi money home, and he can't get back home, and it's like this surrealist comedy about him trying to get back home, but it's really great. It was kind of in that same, like, I think it was mid 80s that Scorsese made that, so it wasn't too long after The King of Comedy. But yeah, Scorsese just had just banger after banger. Like,
I don't think I've ever been disappointed really by anything he's put out.
No, I think
so far there's still a lot I haven't seen.
I think the only one I was disappointed with was Gangs of New York.
Really?
Yeah. Cameron Diaz kind of ruined that movie for me. I just couldn't stand her in that film.
Go back to the point and leave me to my business, or I will open your throat, so help me God.
But no, going back to The King of Comedy, it's such a great movie because, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who like hasn't seen it, but it really kind of shows like how to get ahead in Hollywood. This is like a satire on how to get ahead in Hollywood. It's like being the most annoying kind of person.
Yeah, like
the most deranged, annoying kind of person.
Being kind of insane.
Yeah. I'm literally insane.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like people like just embracing being a psychopath on the internet. That also connects to this.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Yeah, that connects to American Psycho. And when I was making the Literally Me video, I was going like, okay, what is the actual through line behind like all these characters? So you have like Travis Bickle, who's this kind of brooding guy. I wouldn't say that Travis Bickle's a psychopath. He's a very troubled guy that's like obviously has like PTSD from the war because he can't sleep at night. There's like one shot, and some people have said, oh, there's actually like a lot of like, we think he's full of bullshit. Like he's a bullshit artist. He didn't actually go to the war. But there is a shot, and I could be wrong, but I've seen the movie about 10 times, and I noticed this in every time. So maybe I'm not wrong, but maybe my memory fails me. Who knows? Is you see when he's doing the push-ups, you see scars on his back. So I'm thinking that, at least my thought is that he actually is a veteran. You know, PTSD. He's kind of in this city that's in decline. New York in the 70s is just like one of the worst places to live. Like New York in the 70s is infamous.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's just like everything is kind of going to shit around him, and the politicians aren't doing anything. He's just seeing the depravity, and he feels like nothing is being done. And it's just kind of this state of desperation. But it's also Taxi Driver is sort of modeled after like cowboy or samurai movies. Like he even gets called a cowboy. So it's like he's kind of playing that role of the cowboy. And this is in the 70s. So it's, you know, Westerns were huge like in the 50s and 60s. And so it kind of plays into the pop culture at that time. And it's like, so how do you compare that to American Psycho? I mean, the characters are really nowhere close.
Like the similarities are only like when you think of that, they're like surface level. It's like, oh, they both like kill people, I guess.
yeah, they both have their workout routines, I guess.
That's another thing. Is like the lifting. You know, like four men have only 4 ways out of depression, and like one of them is like the gym. Yeah, it's like people like look at Patrick Bateman working out, and like, oh, this guy's in shape. Yeah. It's like, why aren't I idolizing this guy?
Yeah, he's in shape. He has a skincare routine.
There's also that meme of Travis Bickle, like, years of sitting has destroyed my body, and it's like yeah, he's in a taxi or something, and like gamers and YouTubers watch sitting there. It's like the universal struggle of exercise, I suppose.
Yeah, well, and it's really funny because you see American Psycho, and I think Taxi Driver used most in these like memes, and it's like these memes are made to look almost like they're on the Whisper app. And there's this account on Twitter that I follow that does a lot of good like Patrick Bateman memes called Sigma Bale.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's like Base Schizo. It's also Drive, and it's like also the driver is like a Clint Eastwood type of character, just kind of set in the modern day. He's like a Western sort of cowboy, but in LA. And you know, Drive is definitely. I mean, on my video I talked about how it was also inspired by La Samurai and The Driver, but also a good healthy mix of like 60s sort of Westerns, but just put in LA. It's like these characters, they aren't really that similar to each other, but there's this kind of, there is a theme that sort of runs through them. But Patrick Bateman, I think, is the funniest because
like American Psychos it's like I'm not saying like there's parts that make me laugh. Like every
scene
time.
makes me laugh. I laugh at almost everything.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I think about a joke and I'm like, man, that's really funny. Even though it didn't make me laugh in the moment, it's really funny. Your desire to continue that course. My hopes for this country are as firm.
I remember too, and I think that one of the things that's caused it to have a resurgence is that nobody sees it as a horror movie anymore. Because I remember when it was when I first learned about it. And, you know, my cousins were talking, and it was like, people were talking about it like it was just like, you know, it's like, oh, it was a movie that was NC-17, blah, blah, blah. And it was like this disturbing film. It's really? American Psycho.
It was NC-17?
Yeah.
Bro,
and
this is like an R movie. Maybe Uncut has worse stuff.
That's the NC-17 version. So usually on a movie, like if it's R and they have an uncut, I mean, the uncut is just the NC-17, but like stores and stuff like are weird about like carrying films that have NC-17.
Yeah.
But they're not weird about carrying films that say uncut. It's stupid. But
I don't know how any of that works.
As far as I think the NC-17 where that came from, it was the threesome sex scene. It was like, but it's only like
I could see that actually.
But it's only like partially extended. So the threesome sex scene is still in the R-rated film. It's just like some of the shots are like extended in the NC-17. I think there's a few other things that are like it's just like the scenes are just a tiny bit extended, and that's how they got NC-17. So it's not that much different. But like, you know, when I believe that in the uncut version, the R-rated version does not have, after that threesome sex scene when they're in the beds and Patrick Bateman says, "We're not done yet," you know, and he pulls, and you can see the torture instruments that he pulls out. That's not in the R-rated version. That little scene.
Can we go now?
We're not through yet.
It's like, so that gets an
Yeah.
NC-17. Like,
I can see
out
that.
of everything though, I just think, you know, if you could handle the scene before that, you could probably handle this scene.
Yeah. I mean, people don't consider it a horror movie, but like,
Yeah.
this movie, there's it's
Yeah.
horrifying. There's like horrifying things. It's like
Well,
not
yeah.
like scary anymore, but there's scary
yeah.
things about.
Yeah, it uses
About it.
It uses horror, but it uses it kind of in a more satirical way.
Yeah.
And I think that what we have to do right now is kind of figure out Patrick Bateman, because, you know, he is an NPC. He is like the ultimate, just like, all he cares about is where to get lunch, you know, or where to get dinner, how hip the places are. And like, even in the book, you know, in the book, his brother brings him to Dorsia, and he hates Dorsia because his brother brings him to it, and he didn't bring his brother to it because he thinks his brother's a loser. But he can't even enjoy the food at Dorsia just because his brother got him the reservation.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's obsessive.
yeah,
It's kind of
but it's surface level obsessive.
over surface level obsessions over surface level things.
Yeah, and in the book too, and this does come across in the movie, is that every time he meets up with somebody, he describes them by how they dress. You know, so he goes to what kind of blazer they're wearing, what kind of tie they're wearing, how they have the tie, what kind of handkerchief they have, their pants, their, you know, it's like, and you know, and it's like, I mean, to a person like me who doesn't really know that much about suits, obviously I'm wearing an anime shirt. It's not.
It's Evangelion.
Yeah. Another literal Shinji is also literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like
He's like the most realistic of the
he's the
literal
most
means.
realistic. He's on like the other side of the spectrum, because most of the like Travis Bickle and American
actually
Psycho, they're
wanna
like
do something.
fit.
They're fit.
They're maybe not like jacked,
doers.
but they're fit.
And they're doers. Well,
Except for maybe
pretty Patrick
jacked.
Bateman.
He's pretty jacked.
He's jacked. But what I'm saying is that also, like, Travis Bickle actually does something. So does Lou Bloom,
They're
actually.
very active people.
Yeah, where
and they
Shinji is.
They take control of situations, even if like they if maybe it's like they shouldn't.
Yeah, and Shinji is very reactive and
Yeah.
doesn't want to do anything, which makes him a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, he is. Evangelion, I watched that anime alone, and I was kind of like surprised that, like, because I was like into it until like the end, and then it just threw a bunch of crap at me, and I was like,
Did you watch End of Evangelion? The movie?
The end? I haven't watched any of the end of Evangelion.
Yeah, you watched that one?
I watched that one.
Oh,
But
okay.
the end of the show, I was like, what?
Yeah,
the
the
hell
end,
is
the end of the
this?
show.
This
I
is
think they
like-
ran out of money.
Yeah, that's what I heard here.
Yeah.
They ran out of money.
My life is worth living here.
Cringe.
And it's like, yeah, but the literally me of Shinji is there's a
pretty accurate.
spectrum. It's so weird because it's like there's so many characters that are just you don't think would go together, but then there's like some sort of through line that's beyond their surface level characteristics.
Yeah, it's some kind of like cultural or like some sort of just the spirit of it. You know,
It's just people who are upset.
It's the geist.
That's probably it.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, and the thing is too is that it is funny. You know, I think too, it's just like this has been like pushed more and more and more, or it's become more of a meme, because when the literally me stuff kind of started, you had these, you know, film Twitter people, or you had like these academic types or film journos or something like that say like, you miss the point if you idolize them, and they're being like really condescending about it.
Yeah.
And And it's like, well, I mean, these movies they do delve into actual real issues. Like Fight Club really does dive into the issue of sort of repressed masculinity in the modern world. And it's like, why should you not have some sort of like connection to the main character?
It's the memes that are like, you shouldn't idolize them. It's like there's a point there, but ultimately it's like that's also superficial, because like Walter White is like the guy that everybody memes about, but there are things to idolize about him, even though he does horrible things all the time. He's intelligent.
He's an entrepreneur.
He
won.
He won. He's very crafty, he's intelligent, but the problem is he uses these things in bad ways.
Yeah.
So like it's not idolizing. They're not like just horrible monsters, which is like Patrick Bateman is more of probably closer to a horrible monster than Walter White. But even him, like,
do you think
skincare?
Do you think
that's something that's?
Do you think he actually did any of the killings?
I think that's something I like to think is like clearly they're not making it clear.
So,
but my thing is there's certainly ones that he didn't do,
like the chainsaw down the staircase.
Chainsaw and the city massacres. Like it's like you can't escape from that once there's helicopters going, and it's like.
Well, yeah, when he shoots and it like blows up the car, and then it says "Feed me a stray cat."
Yeah.
Like obviously, like that stuff is all in his head. It's some kind of nightmare.
But like the homeless man, it's like that
could happen.
That's perfectly reasonable to get away with. That's the one that's like, man, that really sucks. That's just so cruel for no reason.
Yeah, the homeless man in the book, it's a little bit more intense too. The chapter in the book. Because as he's killing him, he starts screaming the N-word at him.
And at that point, it almost seems like just ridiculous, like completely absurd. Well, it's like how can this happen? It's just so over the top.
Get a goddamn job, Al. You got a negative attitude. That's what's stopping you.
So I'm of two minds here. I think that you can look at it like he does all the killings, and you can also look at it like he doesn't do most of the killings or he doesn't do any of the killings. And it gives you two different sort of perspectives on the film that I think are both correct, right? And I think that if you look at it like he doesn't do any of the killings, right? And this almost all of it's fantasy. It's all in his mind. It's kind of about this like repressed urge to basically destroy that comes out of being this like NPC sort of person, this person who's so obsessed with pop culture, this person who's so obsessed with fitting in, this person who really doesn't have an identity. And it's just kind of this rage, this impotent rage that comes from that wants to destroy people around him just to feel something, right? So that I think that works, but I think that it also works if he does most of that stuff, because like say the killing of Paul Allen. Like all these guys look the same, like they all have the same haircut. They're all like these kind of tall white guys that, not to do id pull shit, but they all are like carbon copies of each other. They wear very similar suits. People call him Halberstram.
How the hell are you? Alan has mistaken me for this dickhead Marcus Halberstram.
The other guys don't even, like, not everyone there even knows he's Patrick Bateman. He passes himself off to the hookers as Paul Allen, too. Like, so he adopts the name Paul Allen. And there's this whole just, like, where no one's getting each other's identity right. Louis Carruthers stands out, but a few of them, you can't, it's like, it's hard to tell one from the other. And it really is brought out in the business card scene, where I guess maybe I'm just a pleb. But to me, pretty much all those business cards look the same. They have like slightly different coloring, maybe, but like
there's a good video by a guy named Linus Bowman, and he does a look into the business cards. It's a pretty cool video.
Doesn't he say that the actual design of it sucks?
Yeah, the actual design of it sucks because. One, they would all have the same card because they're all part of the same company, and two, like the visual hierarchy is all weird and stuff, and also like the stuff they say is kind of like nonsense. It doesn't even apply to what they're showing on the.
Yeah, well,
but that when
fits.
he says, "Oh my God, there's a watermark."
Yeah,
there's no watermark, and that's almost like more brilliant because like, is he imagining a watermark on this on this card?
Look at that subtle off-white coloring, the tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God, it even has a watermark.
But see, that fits too because they're all pulling this out of their asses. They all like really don't know what a good business card is. I mean, what does Patrick Bateman even do for work? Like, we never see him actually working. We see him going out to clubs and to restaurants and being at business meetings, doing business, I guess. We don't really see him. Business. And his dad, like...
that's why I don't know if I have many references for this, but when he says, like, when he confesses and everybody says, and like, they don't believe him because, like, he's still alive or something, I interpret that almost like he's, like, protected. Like, there's nothing he can do to, like, get out of this weirdness. He's just so stuck in...
Well, I was going to bring that up, and I was going to kind of segue into that. Like, this, if you look at the movie as, like, he's actually committing these murders, you can easily say that, like, well, maybe the guy just thought he had dinner with Paul Allen because he doesn't even know. Like, they all look the same. They can't tell each other apart. And he just thought the guy was Paul Allen. Like, what if that is kind of the case for Bateman, that he gets away with it? I mean, like a Wall Street guy stabbing a random homeless guy in an alleyway with no witnesses. Like, he can probably easily get away with that. But, Paul Allen is a big time guy. But what if he gets away with it because they're all sort of like ants in a colony? You can't really tell the ants apart.
Yeah.
It's like they just kind of shift around and say, oh, I guess this guy's Paul Allen, or whatever.
And it's kind of like, it's like either way, it's kind of tragic for Bateman, because it's just like, what, he's stuck. He's trapped in whatever, even though he's like has all these urges. He's like, can he even get help for any of this at this point?
Yeah. Well, he's not going to get help. He's never going to
get help.
And there's no, nothing comes together. It's just a kind of further realization that his life is meaningless, and that he is a cog in a machine that can be easily replaced, and he is just a facade of somebody. He's not actually somebody, And I mean, he could be, but the thing is that maybe to be in that, like, I mean, this is a satire of yuppie culture in the 80s and that sort of brand of person, this kind of status, society obsessed person, wealth obsessed, but not just like wanting to have a lot of wealth, but wanting to have a lot of wealth so that he can get reservations at Dorsia,
No, I said we are totally booked.
2 at 9? Perfect. See you then.
I guess it's that one kind of final summary of like being trapped and wearing a facade that makes people like say, oh, I relate to this character. It's a totally different level for like just someone who's just like working a regular job and just not feeling anything. But like, it brings the primal instincts to the forefront of everything and makes it known. And then people are like they take this super extreme thing as like a metaphor for their own kind of entrapment, and that's how the literally me starts, because it's like
the wagey cage.
The wagey cage. But there's this like this new movement, not really a new movement, but it's like this developing movement of people who just like who want cities to be designed with without cars, car dependency and stuff like that.
Are you talking about new urbanism?
Yeah, like like the channel not just bikes has like done that, and I think it's because like
I actually did a video on new urbanism, sort of kind of, for my channel, because I grew up next to a town that I think was the first new urban town in America, called Seaside, Florida, and it's where they filmed the Truman Show. So I made a video on the Truman Show, and thus it mostly actually was, well, it was kind of half a video on new urbanism. But if you go to Seaside, everything is built to be within walking distance. It's super expensive now because it was like the first new urban thing. So like all these Hollywood people like moved in, and the rates to live there are just insane.
Yeah, it's the walkable city.
The walkable
is
city,
what everybody is like. People are like making memes about it and talking about it a lot more. And it's probably because, I mean, like driving for such a long time makes you feel trapped in this way.
Yeah,
it's like man, I can't even like go out without having to spend 10 minutes in a car, and then 10 minutes to like go to another place, and then 10 minutes to come back, and then it just adds up, and it's like we're like socially isolated from COVID, and we're physically isolated in our own places we live, and now it's like,
and in a car you're more isolated like than ever. I remember I lived in LA for a short time for work, and when I was in LA, like everything is a drive away. So I was like living like I was like staying at renting out a room in Pasadena, and then I was working, and it's like kind of all over. So I'd have to go to West Hollywood, I'd have to go to Culver City, and kind of around LA. And I remember having to drive like 30-40 minutes to work because you're in traffic. And you think, wow, I'm in this big city, and I realize I don't see more than maybe like the people at work each day. I go to work and then I come back home, and I actually felt more like I was around more people when I was in a smaller town than when I was in LA, even though because most of the time I was spending in my car because of how bad traffic is and everything, But yeah, no, the walkable cities. And it's just like, I think now, yeah, with the isolationism, or not isolationism, but with the isolating of people, and social media is definitely sort of exacerbating a lot of this.
Like that's probably the major through line with all these characters, right? Because like Travis Bickle, he's isolated from everybody. He's in a taxi at night, and listens to people's psychopathic comments in a taxi.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by people, but like in his workspace and stuff, but he doesn't he has not a single healthy relationship with anybody.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
And that's basically the same as being completely isolated.
And Lou Bloom and Nightcrawler, I mean, he's just by himself shooting the crime scene stuff.
Is completely antisocial.
Yeah.
Asocial behavior.
And some of these people are isolated, and I would say in a lot of cases it's not like it's the world or it's society that's really isolating them, but it's also themselves, and it's also them not being able to understand how to integrate into society, and thus existing on the fringes of it, but also people in society not exactly being helpful and bringing them into the fold. So it's kind of like you're having friction from two sides.
Right. Yeah. It's like when COVID happened, and all the universities, I had my entire sophomore year online. It puts people into that kind of desperate situation where you need reciprocation.
Yeah, you do. And and I think that at Norton in Fight Club, also, I mean, just to feel anything, he goes to these these self-help groups or these therapy sessions, and it's because he really has no life. He has no sort of support group or anything like that, but he gets the simulation of a support by faking that he has all these illnesses, and and it's not until he sort of taps into his repressed masculinity with the Fight Club that he's and actually brings all these people together. But it's like he overdoes it, with the whole Project Mayhem thing. But it's, it becomes kind of, there's a lot more to it. But I guess I'll save my in-depth stuff on that for a video.
Yeah.
But no, but I mean, Bateman is completely, in a sense, socially isolated, even though he's always kind of out and about. None of these people, none of his friends group have much in common with them, other than the fact that they like to do cocaine and have sex with women.
I know. There are no girls with good personalities.
That just reminds me of the other aspect of all these things is the incel group. It's because all these terms, these alpha, beta, sigma, these all originate from incels coming up with ways to categorize people.
The Chads and the Stacys.
Yeah, the Chads and the Stacys, and it's like wiggled its way, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like not mainstream, but it's wiggled its way to a much broader place of people, because like God, it's like the internet is just the battle of the sexes all the time. It sucks
I know.
so much. It's like,
but it's so
men
to me though, it's so funny that, because I remember not that long ago on the internet where people would like call people a virgin as an insult, and now people wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah,
I think it's funny. I mean,
yeah,
I like it.
It is very funny. It's this ridiculous turning of everything on its head.
It is funny.
There's like this brotherhood of misery, you know, that people like kind of adopt to keep themselves from. Yeah.
Are you doomer pilled incel?
I'm pretty doomer pilled most times, because not really of anything that's going on in not most things in my life. You know, it's not that bad really, but like the internet makes me just, God, it just makes me think like there's so little love in the world, and there's so much hatred for just complete nonsense. I don't know how many times I see a post that's just like, men do this, women do this, why do men act this way, why do female women act this way, and it's like no one's talking to each other, this is not helping it whatsoever. I see so many Reddit asks that Reddit posts that are like, why does the other sex do this, and it's like
it's the age-old questions, right, that people have asked themselves, but they kept it like just talking to their friends. But when you go on the internet, you just kind of get a whole bunch of random people, and for all you know, the person who's given you the answers, the answer that you might like the best is some, crack addict in a library.
And these people give out terrible advice.
Oh, they give out terrible
advice.
Never take advice from Reddit.
Never take advice from Reddit.
Just don't go to Reddit. Just don't go to Reddit. Stay off.
Don't go to Reddit.
Well, to change the subject, this is actually kind of coming out like sort of a Kino cast, which is a podcast that I had, but I'll be putting this on my main channel. And I wanted to make this because a lot of you guys were annoying me about making an American Psycho video. And don't worry, this is not the American Psycho video. I've actually been working on this video, and I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to try to make this like a really, like, I want to make my video on American Psycho like the best video on the channel. I have this really killer intro from one of my patrons, Cobra Malibu, did this animated like intro to the video, and I'm talking with people who like worked on American Psycho behind the scenes to try to get like inside scoops on the film, on that kind of stuff, and I also want to reread American Psycho before I do the thing. But yeah, guys, keep looking out for that. And Solar Sands, are you working on anything right now?
Yes, actually. Currently, I'm working on what's supposed to be a short video.
It always starts off. It's a short video.
Yeah, it's a short video, but I like in length. I think it'd still maintain pretty short for my channel right now. But the process of putting it together is getting much longer than that. Yeah. It should be very interesting. It's like about probability and just universe breaking numbers. So that will be coming out in like 1.5 weeks.
Okay, probably around the same time.
And after that, I'm working on something that's kind of relates to this kind of isolation thing, hopefully, and that'll be a lot longer. And that's one I'm really gonna try and push myself to make.
You should watch. Talk about isolation. You should watch a movie. I'm actually going to L.A. To the New Beverly to watch this in 35 millimeter. The Brown Bunny. Have you ever heard of this movie?
I did about yesterday.
Yesterday at my place.
Yeah.
Because I have my DVD of it on display. So the Brown Bunny, I would say watch both Vincent Gallo movies, which is Buffalo 66 and the Brown Bunny. Buffalo 66 is definitely his like easier to get into film. Brown Bunny though, I absolutely love, and that movie is like, that's like pure sort of like loneliness on film.
Sure.
So, but
I'll make a note of that.
Don't watch it if your parents might be coming in the room.
Oh,
I don't know. Well, there is one pornographic scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pornographic. Not even nudity, but straight up.
It's unsimulated. And that's what makes it very controversial.
Oh, it's controversial.
It's controversial only really for that scene.
All right.
But it's in my top 10 movies. Like, I love the Brown Bunny. And but yeah, I mean, and I think that I think that's also why like Joker did so well, even though like Joker as a movie probably isn't as good as Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy or Drive or something like that. But like it's just kind of like there is this zeitgeist, and I think that as we're going forward into this internet world and communities are sort of falling apart in a sense, people are feeling more and more disconnected from each other, that these characters are becoming, like people are like liking these characters. And I also think that the memes are just funny. So it's like, even if you don't feel isolated, like you might actually have a happy life or whatever.
Yeah, there's like we've been talking about psychology and the state of society, but it's like Patrick Bateman saying, "I need to return some DVDs." It's just
some
funny.
videotapes.
Some videotapes. It's just funny on the face of it.
It's just funny. So it's like, there's the isolation part. That's maybe being an armchair psychologist, but it is just funny. I mean, like that's why I just find a lot of it funny. And but yeah, so that's Solar Sands, and I'm the Kino Corner. Again, if you guys, I hope that you guys like listening to us talk, and we'll go watch American Psycho. I'll probably be watching it for the 50th time this week, because my one friend, he comes over to my house just to watch American Psycho. So, it's a
little ritual you got.
Oh yeah, it's a little ritual, and but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.
I have to return some videotapes.